In the world of global entertainment, there is an unwritten phrase that is often repeated: the higher the popularity of a person, the greater the price attached to his name. But what happens when someone who is on top of the world breaks the law with one simple answer: no? Jungkook, one of the most valuable names in the modern pop industry, has just proved that true value isn't always measured by numbers in contracts. Behind the glittering stage lights and the rows of commercial deals that pursue her every step of the way lies one decision that has left many of the world's brand executives speechless: the rejection of a billion-dollar offer from one of the global giants. For some people in the business world, it's like rejecting a ticket to absolute power in the fashion and entertainment industry. But for Jungkook, the decision is a statement of who he is, what he stands for, and how he views the meaning of the image he has built over the past decade. Those who know him know. Jungkook is not someone who is easily influenced by numbers. He is known for being meticulous, reflective, and intuitive about the direction of his steps. When the offer came, reportedly from one of the American luxury brands that wanted to make him a global face with a contract value reaching more than $100 million, everyone around him thought the answer was definitely yes. However, what came out of Jungkook's mouth was not enthusiasm, but a long silence. He pondered, discussed with his team, then politely declined. The reasoning behind it is not about money, but about control. Jungkook doesn't want to be a mere product in a system that governs how he should look, dress, or even speak. He had already lived through that world, a time when his every move was orchestrated to meet industry expectations. He wanted something more authentic. He chose a collaboration that really aligned with his identity, not just because the value of the contract was fantastic. The decision sent shockwaves into the corporate world. Just imagine a huge boardroom in New York, a screen displaying a demographic analysis of the Asian market, a graph showing the potential profit of billions, and in the middle of it all, the name Jungkook in bold with the keyword secured. But in a matter of days, the report changed drastically. Offer declined. The executive was said to have thought there was a communication error. They tried to renegotiate, raise numbers, even adjust clauses to be more flexible, but the answer remains the same. No thank you. The reaction made most of the business media stare in wonder. How could anyone resist an amount that could even change the lives of generations? However, on the other hand, for observers of pop culture, this step is not unusual for Jungkook. Since the beginning of his solo career, he has shown a tendency to maintain his independence. He turned down too many sponsors who were not in line with the image he had built. Honest, simple, but classy. When she chose Calvin Klein, it wasn't just about fashion, but because the brand gave her the space to be herself, without having to pretend to be someone she didn't recognize. And therein lies a value greater than just contracts: integrity. For many artists, money is validation. But for Jungkook, integrity is the real currency. The business world is not used to facing someone who rejects a big offer on moral or artistic grounds. That's why the company that offered it had to postpone the announcement of their global campaign, because it had to find a replacement face capable of matching Jungkook's magnet, something that was almost impossible to do. He is not just a celebrity, but a cross-cultural phenomenon. In numerous interviews, brand analysts have called Jungkook an irreplaceable asset. In economic terms, the value is beyond measurable. However, this rejection made them realize that such an asset could not be bought. It could only be respected. Some in the industry even started talking about this decision as a small historical moment, the point at which a global star reverses the mindset of multinationals because usually artists follow the will of the brand. But this time, it was the brand that had to pursue the artist's vision. Jungkook changed that balance of power. When news of this rejection began to leak in industry forums, the reaction from professionals was very mixed. Some consider this step bold, others call it risky. But one thing is for sure. All agree that this is not about money, it's about direction. Jungkook knows that every decision he makes will be a reference for the next generation of artists. He is aware many young idols view him as a role model, and he doesn't want to set an example that success always means signing the biggest contract. He wanted to show that sometimes the real power is in the ability to say no, even when the world on its knees offers everything. From the psychological side, this step also shows great maturity. To refuse such a large offer means to be ready to lose short-term opportunities in favor of long-term principles. But in Jungkook's world, it only strengthens his position. It is becoming more and more rare, more and more exclusive, and more respected. This phenomenon is known as reverse desirability. When a person rejects something, his self-worth increases manifold. And indeed, after the news of the rejection circulated, Jungkook's name was even more sought after. Global search is up, social media engagement is soaring, and some other brands are starting to change their approach, no longer coming up with big numbers, but with big ideas. That's what Jungkook is looking for, meaning, in many aspects, this decision also reflects a major change in the global entertainment industry. We're entering an era where artists are beginning to master their own narratives, refusing to be puppets of the commercial system. Jungkook became a symbol of that shift. He did not refuse money. He refused to lose his identity. In an off-record interview with one of the industry insiders, there was one sentence that described this situation exactly. They thought Jungkook would be tempted by numbers, but they forgot he's not looking for numbers. He's building history. And maybe that's why the reaction of the company he turned down sounded a mix of disappointment and admiration. They knew there was no way to replace Jungkook, not just because of his face or his popularity, but because of the personal value inherent in every decision he makes. It is not merely rejecting contracts, it is affirming the boundary between commercialism and authenticity. In the midst of a fast-paced world where everything can be bought and measured with money, Jungkook's steps feel like a breath of fresh air. He reminds us that there are still artists who think long-term, who want to be remembered not because of the number of zeros in his account, but because of the consistency in the values he believes in. And when the world saw him leisurely strolling through the airport, dressed in simple clothes without any hint of excessive luxury, everyone knew this is the man who just refused billions of dollars and still looks the most valuable of all. When news of Jungkook's rejection began to leak to the global industry media, the first reaction was not anger, but confusion. Marketing executives in America, Europe, and Asia are suddenly wondering what is really going on behind the negotiating table. How could someone in the strongest position of his career turn down an offer that could make him one of the highest-paid brand ambassadors in modern music history? But such is Jungkook, always against predictions, always hard to guess, and always walking the path he created himself. Some sources say that the offer is not just about money. It was a 5-year global exclusive deal, complete with copyrights on her name and image across various product lines. In plain language, the brand wants to have Jungkook as their face and identity, from digital campaigns, fashion shows, to a series of collaboration products that will be mass-produced around the world. However, behind the numbers and luxury, there is something that makes Jungkook stop: the loss of creative freedom. It doesn't want to be just a corporate symbol that has to speak according to the script. He knows that his image, which has been built with care and honesty, cannot be traded around. The decision to refuse was born not from spontaneous emotions, but from long deliberation. A source close to the matter said Jungkook declined after intense discussions with his team for nearly 3 weeks. He read every detail of the contract, weighed the consequences, and even studied the philosophy of the brand. And at the end of that process, he realized that the deal was not in line with the values he believed in. "If I accept it, I'll lose a little bit of myself," he once reportedly told a colleague. The sentence became a kind of personal reflection that shook industry managers. In an era where many celebrities are chasing the largest number of contracts, Jungkook shows exactly the opposite. He wants to make sure his every move has meaning. The reaction of the business world was mixed. Some of Europe's leading brands have been inspired by his decision. They saw a new opportunity, a collaboration that not only focused on sales, but on artistic value and authenticity. Some agencies even began to change their approach to negotiations with other artists, imitating the way Jungkook viewed cooperation, not endorsement, but partnership. For the rejected companies, the initial reaction was, of course, mixed. Some felt they were missing out on a golden opportunity to tie a global figure to their transcontinental appeal, while others began to understand that Jungkook's rejection represented his most powerful attraction. He could not be bought. Ironically, the decision even made Jungkook's market value soar higher than before. After the news spread, various industry reports noted a drastic surge in Jungkook's digital popularity. On platform X, Twitter, the keyword Jungkook declined had become a global trending topic for 14 hours. The article from Business of Fashion even calls the move a masterclass in brand power management, the most elegant way to maintain self-exclusivity in the digital age. In the view of branding experts, when someone like Jungkook rejects something, the public is even more curious about what he will do next. And sure enough, after that rejection, he was reportedly exploring a much more personal global project, a cross-cultural collaboration combining visual arts, music, and fashion. One of the executives involved in the bidding process even admitted, "We thought he would agree right away, but after hearing the reason, we actually respect it. He's not just a global face. He has his own vision." That sentence describes a profound change in the way the world views Jungkook. He is no longer an idol who only follows the direction of the industry. He is now one of the figures who changed the direction of the industry itself. Every time Jungkook makes a decision, the business world learns something. That integrity can be the most powerful marketing strategy in an era where honesty is hard to find. However, behind all that, there is an emotional side that is rarely talked about. Jungkook knows that any major rejection like this comes with risks, including missing out on opportunities to expand his commercial influence. But he looked calm. He never pursued the validation of numbers, and maybe that's the secret. When many people try to be big by adding to everything, Jungkook instead chooses to be strong by reducing the unnecessary. And in the glittering world of entertainment, that attitude feels exceedingly rare. While fans around the world talked about his bravery, there was another, more interesting side: the domino effect of the decision. Brands that initially felt betrayed began to learn that the old way of recruiting global artists was no longer relevant. They are now trying to understand the meaning of the authentic partnership that Jungkook has always held firmly. At this point, Jungkook's story isn't just about the billion-dollar offer he turned down, but about a lesson for the entire industry. Money can buy attention, but it can't buy respect. And perhaps, without realizing it, this decision will become an important chapter in the history of modern pop culture when a Korean artist in his 20s managed to shake up the global commercial system with just one simple word: no.